What we've got here is...
I just saw Spider-Man Homecoming. Welcome to your favorite uncut, uncensored, spoiler-filled podcast, movie review, all that good shit. I'm actually... That'll be included. You already know. Do you recognize that laugh? I'm joined with my very good friend, YouTube film critic, Chris Stuckman. How are you today, Chris?
Hi.
That goes to the shell poster. Yeah, we're back in your office today. We're here for Wish Upon. This place rocks. So
it's great. It's so nice to have a place to just go, and it's quiet, and it's just your own place to film.
It's a great little oasis full of movie posters. Someday you have to do like a tour.
Yeah, definitely. When I get it more banging in here, because right now it's still kind of messy.
It's pretty banging, but
nice,
but you want it to be filled, you know? Yeah, I know.
It's a little messy still.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's entering stages. But I brought you on because, like, you're a guy who loves Spider-Man, and this is what I want to do for this podcast. I want to bring on, like, people who are almost, like, experts or, like, people who love something so much that I have to include them in. And you love Spider-Man so much that you watched, like, the TV show as a kid. Was that from the 60s?
Sure, yeah. There was the one with Nicholas Hammond. He was Peter Parker in the 70s one, and it was only about 13 or 14 episodes long.
Wow.
It got canceled pretty quick.
Yeah, that sucks, yeah.
It was very, very cheesy, but it was sort of caught in the middle of this resurgence of Marvel superheroes on TV. There was a Hulk show with Bill Bixby, which was considerably more successful. That ran for like 5 seasons, and Lou Ferrigno, who played the Hulk, still like voices the Hulk in pretty much every...
Yeah, that's his most known thing, I think.
Yeah, he still voices him. And going into Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends in the 80s. Dun, 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 yeah, that theme song. I kind of like Spider-Man. And the 90s show I'm actually rewatching right now for the first time since I was younger. I got like this... somebody made me a Blu-ray collection of it.
That's nice.
I paid him.
Oh,
obviously.
yeah.
I paid. There is no official release of the complete animated Spider-Man series from the 90s. So I went on eBay, and I don't like to do bootlegs unless there is no other way to attain it.
Yes.
There's a whole bunch of small volumes of episodes of DVDs of that show, but nothing in order from beginning to end. And this user on eBay makes Blu-rays of stuff, and he upscaled the quality, looked great. So yeah, I like Spider-Man.
So before getting into the review, what is your favorite Spider-Man film?
Spider-Man 2, which is probably still the best, I would say. Spider-Man 1 is very close. I'm not one of the people that's like, Spider-Man 2 is the Dark Knight. I think it's great, but it's just a hair better, I think, than the first.
Yeah, I can recognize, I'm close with you. I can recognize Spider-Man 2 is a fucking great movie, but I like Willem Dafoe. I like all the stuff going on in the first film, and I think the first film is one of the greatest origin stories. It might be a little cheesy, but we have to understand that like all the Superman films from the 70s and stuff that creeped into the 80s, and was it the 90s too?
The last one I think was 87.
Close. Okay, so but you have to remember those are like the older superhero films, and then we started getting into Spider-Man, and then it just evolved into what we have today. So
yeah, I mean, I think Spider-Man has a lot of different... I mean, Spider-Man's one of the few comic heroes that they basically got perfect from the get-go when he was first introduced in comics. A lot of heroes have evolved quite a bit. Batman's changed quite a bit. But Spider-Man from the beginning, Uncle Ben dies, he loves photography, he works at the Daily Bugle, he's Spider-Man, he has problems in high school, Mary Jane, Felicia Hardy. They pretty much got what he continued to be right from the get-go, and a lot of the early comics are very cheesy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really cheesy dialogue and lines. I've been rereading a lot of my Spidey comics, and it's one of the things I love about the first few Raimi movies is that even though they changed some things with the character, like he has organic web shooters, which never bothered me ever, because I always kind of agreed with Raimi's stance on it, where he said if he gets all the powers of a spider, he should be able to make his own webs too. I mean, if he can do everything else that a spider can, he should be able to spin his own webs. That's fine with me. That never bothered me, but sure, he wasn't as quippy maybe as Spidey is in the comics. He tells jokes. He has that great joke with Randy Savage, like he's like, "Did your husband give it to you?"
Yeah.
He's like, You know, there's all kinds of stuff like that. It's you who's out, Gobby, out of your mind. I like that first movie quite a bit.
I really love that film. So I just slightly edges it. I'm glad I brought you on because I don't know anything about the comics, and I'm gonna play this back to where some people are complaining, and then you told me not to tell you, so we're gonna talk about that. Well,
I wanted a natural. I have no. You said there was some sort of outrage.
Yes.
I have no idea what it is. So I said, don't tell me, so I can have a natural reaction.
Okay, cool. We'll get to that here in the end.
Okay.
As I hit my arm on your bookshelf because I have a opening monologue I want to talk about. Hype. I saw this last Tuesday, which was not a full week, but it was still later than everyone saw the early screening, opening weekend, etc. And I heard so much hype about. I heard good things like this is the greatest Spider-Man since Spider-Man 2. And I'm like, good stuff. And then I heard from multiple people that this is the greatest Spider-Man ever. I'm like, oh, really? Better than Spider-Man 2? Everyone loves? Shit. So my issue is if people hype up something so fucking much and they don't deliver on these high expectations, it's disappointing just a little bit to me. Like, I'm just gonna go on record and say, like, Citizen Kane. Everyone says Citizen Kane's the greatest film ever made. I remember watching that a couple years ago, rewatching, I should say, as an adult, and thinking, you know what? Doesn't the guy cheat on his wife? How can I root this guy on? Oh, Rosebud. Wow, you missed your childhood. Yeah, we all fucking did. I want to be a kid playing roller hockey and cul-de-sacs or baseball with my friends and have no responsibilities. So when you say like something is like the greatest, I hope to God it is. This film was good. And I felt like a big reason was our villain. And it started off actually just like Dark Knight Rises, a really great little prologue with our villain, rather than starting off the film with our hero. And I felt like Vulture had a good backstory, even though it is quick. We never really go back into it. We just assume that he's like stealing shit for his family, I guess, to provide for his family. I felt like this film, and I'm going to go back to this a lot, it just lacked a little bit of the extra kick of emotion.
Yeah, I agree.
I watched your review, and I really liked the thing you said about, did it lack epicness? What was your adjective you used?
There was something about it that just wasn't as visceral as the others. The first two, and even the third one. You know what? The third one's not that great, but especially the third one. Raimi did so much with the camera that I think made those three movies really unique, and they're kind of weird too. Like there's something
they're quirky,
weird. There's something really weird about the way Raimi approaches those movies. Like just at the end of the first Spider-Man, when Spidey does a backflip and dodges his the glider, and it comes towards him, and you get an insert shot of him going, "Oh," and then he dies. I mean, like there's stuff like that. That's Raimi.
That's funny.
That's Raimi.
Yeah.
100% Raimi. Don't tell Harry.
You know what? Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things like that in those movies that really distinguished them from other movies at the time. Obviously, you have like Bryan Singer's first X-Men and the first Spider-Man to really thank for the fact that we're getting so many more comic book movies now.
Mm-hmm.
But even when you go back and watch those movies now, they don't feel like today's, because today, when superhero movies come out, they have a guaranteed audience.
Yes,
they know people are going to come, and they know that they're going to make a sequel to expand the world.
Mm-hmm.
They know all of these things. Those first few movies, there was like a sense of desperation in them. Like you could tell that Sam Raimi and Bryan Singer and even the first Blade, like they were just really trying. Like they needed to try a lot harder to get people's approval, to get studio approval, to make more. Or nowadays, it's like it's a guarantee. Like this is Spider-Man. He's part of the MCU now. This is going to be his setup for more, you know. And so they don't have to try as hard to get our attention anymore like they used to.
No. What do I want to get into here?
But I should say I agree with you. I like this movie. I liked Spider-Man: Homecoming. I think it's good. I do.
That's the thing. I also watched Doug Walker's like sibling rivalry. I think it's called.
He does it with his brother.
Yeah, what's his brother's name?
Rob.
Okay, yeah. That was like an hour long. It was an hour long, great entertainment.
Yeah.
And I agree with almost everything they said. And they start off the video with the same exact reaction I had after leaving the theater. They said, "Yeah, that's good," and then they throw up their shoulders and kind of shrug. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like good with the asterisks, because it's like, yeah, it's a good film, but I kind of felt just like I want a little bit more from it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way.
I'm going to build off of your Rami funny thing because I felt like most of the film was funny. My favorite line was, "Hey, you Spider-Man, do a flip." That was so, because it was just random. And with Michelle was my favorite character out of even more than Spider-Man.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because she was so funny. We'll talk about Michelle at the end here too. But I felt like she was so funny because of her randomness.
Yeah.
And that was how most of the humor was. Michelle, played by Zendaya?
I think it's Zendaya.
Zendaya. I guess apparently the other day came out that she's dating Tom Holland.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's a thing.
That's nice.
Yeah, real life. I might as well just get into my spoiler-ish part of the review. I didn't know that she was MJ.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
There was speculation from people, but as you know, you and I, we don't really like to look at news speculation for movies because they get so spoilery nowadays. But I remember there were some people. It's impossible to not sometimes see headlines. So
That's
I remember.
true. Yeah,
I remember a few months back there were some headlines like Zendaya could possibly be Mary Jane, and then people were like, "Oh my God, that's horrible!" Blah blah blah. And yeah, I'm not one of the guys that needs everyone to look exactly like they do in the comics or be the same race. I don't care. I don't. As long as it's not changed just because.
Yeah.
Like if it feels calculated that they made this choice to not make MJ white just because diversity. If that's how it comes off, well then it's noticeable. But if it feels organic, then I'm fine with it. And in this movie, I'm fine with it. I mean, I don't care really if MJ is a redhead. And there's also people who are like, well, it's not Mary Jane Watson, it's MJ.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, okay, that's nice, And they say well, kind of like how Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's not Dick Grayson. He's Robin, but he's not Robin, So I don't care. It's whatever, I think she's fine. I think she was entertaining in the movie. There's a couple times where she said some stuff. I was like, that's kind of stupid. Like when she was in detention drawing people because...
Yeah, that was weird.
Because she wanted to capture people in crisis,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, what's the point of that scene?
Yeah, that was a little random. That's the only one I really like. My favorite, actually, I've written here in the notes, was the National Monument. I think she was drawing or something. She's like, I don't want to celebrate something slaves built. And then it cuts to, the teacher's like, what? And it cuts to this janitor or something, some black guy working for the monument. He's like, he nods yeah. That was the second
takes
favorite.
His hand and kind of waves it could be.
That was my second favorite joke. Just to have a quick note, I really did like the multicultural cast. Peter's main love interest, Liz, light-skinned girl. MJ, light-skinned. Peter's best friend is Asian. I thought it was really cool.
It's a very diverse cast. There's even a shot of Peter. I noticed a shot the first time I saw it in school. It's dollying towards him in class, and there's a kid next to him in a military outfit. There's a girl behind him with a head wrap on. So
I noticed
they definitely made an attempt to make it look like a real Queens neighborhood high school where there'd be...
Or just even America, because we are multicultural.
Sure,
a melting pot of all people I've ever written. We had two shockers, but I guess our shocker really is black.
Yeah.
And so might as well just skip into what people said, because you just talked about MJ. I'm going to skip ahead of my notes past my Michael Keaton stuff, because I want to talk a lot about Mr. Michael Keaton. I love that guy. So the whole debate. We have people bitching, apparently, about this not being like the comics. It has to be like the comics. MJ has to be a redhead. She can't be this quirky, random, sarcastic girl. Why is her race different? Change. Why is who's the Indian guy? Apparently that's
Flash Thompson.
Flash Thompson's supposed to be this big bulking white dude that's supposed to beat him up or something. That's not Flash Thompson.
He's like he was in the comics. He's like he was in the first Raimi.
Yeah,
big jock guy.
Joe Manganiello.
Yeah, I always forget that was him.
It's awesome, isn't it?
I always forget that's him.
It's freaking awesome.
It looks nothing like him.
I know, he's so skinny.
He wasn't skinny, but he compared to what he became in Magic Mike and stuff.
Big as shit now. But people are hardcore bitching about of course. I don't like this movie now.
Of course they are.
Oh, this is the problem. I'm going to talk about this in my analysis for 2 Alien Covenant videos. People, they don't know what they want. If you do something like Batman v Superman, we start off with the dead parents. Oh, we've seen this a million times. But if you change it, there's no mention of Uncle Ben. So if you change it, like in Homecoming, they're still gonna bitch. It's like the filmmakers can't win.
People don't like change either. I think it's tough because a lot of people like to they want it to be the way they remember it, and some people read certain comic arcs and that's their favorite Spider-Man. Some people read, like for instance, Amazing Spider-Man versus Ultimate Spider-Man, or Spectacular or whatever. There's so many different arcs. There's a Miles Morales arc where Spider-Man is black and he's played by Miles Morales.
Interesting.
And so it's weird because people. I know that if I went into Spider-Man and there were certain things I was like, I'm not sure if this feels like Spider-Man to me, and it had nothing to do with MJ or any of the race of anyone.
Yeah.
It had to do with like his suit having so many technological abilities.
Yeah, it was like an Iron Man suit.
It was, and I wanted him to have his spider sense. I wanted him to do things like that. I didn't need the suit to let him know things, and the suit also didn't let him know a lot of things. Like the Vulture is always sneaking up behind him. Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, so if he doesn't have spider sense and the suit's going to be this, then how are we going forward? Or is this just like the first step in his development and he will continue to evolve as Spider-Man, which is probably how it'll be. Like I imagine like 2 or 3 films from now, we'll have a big, like possibly slightly more, I don't want to say muscular, but just older Spider-Man actually swinging around skyscrapers in New York and not just like in a neighborhood.
The money shots.
So I get what they're trying to do. They're basically allowing us to be like to evolve with Spider-Man and watch him grow from a young kid into Spider-Man the way that we're familiar with him, which is cool. Because I guess that actually is kind of cool if that's what they do, because once we get to that point, it's going to feel pretty cool. Like we watched him get to this point.
Yeah. And that's something I do agree with Doug Walker's. I don't think his brother said in his review that like we're just like shoehorned in. We really didn't get to see all that stuff back in the day. And didn't you say in your spoiler review about Kevin Feige, if I pronounce his name, saying that he does have spider sense?
Yeah, he said in an interview that he does, and that they're just not showing it in a theatrical way. Like he looks around and you hear a noise, like in the others.
Yes.
But I don't know. Like there isn't one particular instance in the movie where it seemed clear to me that he did. And so perhaps what he meant, Kevin Feige, is that yes, this character has it and we're going to develop it. But maybe that's what he was saying, because there's no real moment in the movie where he utilizes it.
No. Since we're on the topic of Spider-Man, what do you think of Tom Holland?
I thought Tom Holland was great, and this is nothing you haven't heard from a billion other people.
True.
He was very fun, very innocent. He had that purity about him that Peter Parker has, that kind of naive way of looking at things. It's cool. My buddy Jeremy Johns, in his review, he talked about how, like, as adults, when we were watching this movie, you can kind of understand where Michael Keaton's character is coming from. You kind of feel for him a little bit because he was wronged. He's got his work taken away. Yes. And you can kind of understand. He has good motivation, but Spider-Man in the movie is just like, I know what you're doing is wrong, and I'm going to stop you.
Yeah.
He's young,
Yes.
And so he doesn't have like that adult viewpoint where he looks at what Toomes is doing and thinks, well, I can kind of understand that you're not really a terrorist, but you are stealing illegal weapons, and so, but he wants to stop him, and so it's interesting because you can see that's kind of like what Spider-Man is when he's younger. He's just the hero, He's got great power, but I feel like there's a moment in The Dark Knight Rises that reminded me of Spider-Man Homecoming, where throughout, because when I watched Dark Knight Rises, which I just rewatched it, I almost feel like he's not Batman in that movie until he climbs out of the pit.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
like even though he dons the cape and the cowl,
yes,
he's not Batman yet until he climbs out of the pit.
Mm-hmm.
When I watch Spider-Man Homecoming, I almost feel like he's not Spider-Man yet until he lifts the rubble off of himself.
Yep.
Like that's the moment where he truly accepts and like builds the strength to overcome that by himself without his super suit. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of cool. It's like an origin story for the hero without all the things that we are used to seeing.
Yeah. it's a good way to put it. He's very naive because like he's always like, oh, I have to save this person. Even after that epic exchange in the car. He's still like, I'm like, don't do it, kid. And he goes out and does it. I'm like, oh, what are you doing?
That car scene is great.
Oh, man, there's so much great shit. I think Tom Holland did great as well. I would like to see him at least one more movie before we start saying he's better than Tobey Maguire, because I really like Tobey Maguire. So I would like to just one more Tom Holland film. I don't think are we getting another solo Spider-Man movie after this, where he's just going straight into Infinity War?
Well, I believe Infinity War is the next time we're going to see him.
Yeah.
But yeah, supposedly they're doing more.
Okay, good, because I want to see definitely more of this kid, because he did great.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go into the Vulture, because I also admit this is a little bit of a problem. Did I like Michael Keaton because I fucking love Michael Keaton, or did I love the Vulture? It's so tough because sometimes I have this problem with Tom Hanks. I love Tom Hanks so much. Do I like Tom Hanks in the movie, or do I like the character he's playing?
It's really tough. I have a similar... It's hard. I have problems with similar actors, too. It's like you see Harrison Ford in something, and you're like, that's Harrison Ford. He's a fucking badass.
Exactly. Harrison Ford's another one.
Yeah.
Like even Blade Runner. It's like, fuck.
Exactly. And so it's tough. He is really good in this movie. And as I said it, for myself, it had a lot to do with the fact that his character had real motivation, and I felt his plight. It wasn't just, I'm going to steal these weapons because I don't like the government. Like,
yeah. Stupid shit.
He had a real reason. Like, you see him in the beginning, he loses his job. Mm-hmm. He loses money, and then you hear about his family a lot. And I saw the film twice now, and there's a few hints to it. Like, his buddy is like, hey, your wife called. And he's like, okay, I'll get it later. And there's just little hints that he has a family and everything.
Yeah.
So that when you get that amazing reveal when that fucking door opens.
Oh my god, that's great.
That's one of, it's been a while since I have been actually surprised by anything in a movie. Mm-hmm. And even though I didn't love this movie, that is definitely like one of the top 5 surprises I've seen in a while. Like it's been a while since a movie has actually taken me off guard like that.
Yeah. I did draw us a little bit of parallels to the first Spider-Man, though, because I felt... Because I was like, please don't end the film when you're going to blow up at the end, the wide shot, the wings and shit. I was like, please don't die and say, don't tell Liz.
Right.
Please don't. And they didn't. I was like, good. And then he survives, actually, surprisingly. I was like, okay, good.
And then you see him in jail, and he won't...
Yeah, the mid-credit scene.
He won't give up Parker's name, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
So I'm curious where that will play, like into the second one, because they're obviously trying to set up the Sinister Six.
Yeah, apparently there's a Sinister Six movie.
Yeah, supposedly.
Okay,
that's been for a while. They've been talking about that.
Oh, okay.
Originally, I think Drew Goddard, the director of Cabin in the Woods, was going to direct it, but I'm not sure if that's happening anymore.
Okay. Back to the twist about Liz's dad. Besides me drawing parallels to the first Spider-Man, I was not expecting that at all. I love the banter. I love him calling him Pedro. Mm-hmm. I was like, that's the point. I was like, do I like Michael Keaton or do I like this shit? I was like, I kind of like both here. I was not expecting that shit at all.
No, I remember at the screening, it was like you heard like this, what? like this hush of like, what?
Yeah,
the theater.
I saw this film Tuesday at discount day. It was like almost all teenagers, and even they were like, "Oh my god!" Because I guess they didn't see it. This is their first time seeing it after the weekend opening. But I felt like the Liz Peter stuff, like I was saying, this film lacked emotion. They're probably gonna play it up in sequels, but I felt like Liz should have gotten some closure, because I was like, because Aunt May finds out at the end, like, what the fuck? And then cut. Mm-hmm. I felt like he's there because he kept on running the whole time. He kept going, saving people. He wouldn't listen to people. I was like, please just mature for this one moment and just somewhere in a classroom tell Liz, like, why you keep fucking her over. I was like, I felt like just like either that, if I could write somehow that in, but then she just leaves out of town. It's just like... True. There was nothing. It just kind of, it's like, it rises up and then just kind of fizzles away.
Yeah, they were kind of setting you up to think that was the relationship for Peter, and then you realize her dad's the Vulture, and she's like, bye-bye, and then the girl's like, hey, I'm MJ. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you're the replacement.
And then she looks over him, like, kind of like, oh.
Yeah. I can tell you, like, my basic reasoning for why I don't think it's great. The Spider-Man stuff is cool. It's always great to see Spider-Man if he's portrayed well. But there wasn't a sense of, like, it's an overused word, but epicness to this movie. And I don't need every Spider-Man movie to be about the world ending, because
no, you don't want that.
He's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yes.
He's not always supposed to have a beam in the sky.
Yeah.
That's going to destroy Manhattan.
Yeah.
Right. But and even in the first Spider-Man, like, I don't think Goblin was like, I'm going to destroy the world. Goblin just wanted to screw over the people that screwed over him, who got him kicked out of his own company. Yeah. Similar to the Vulture in this movie.
Yes.
The Vulture Toomes wanted to screw over Tony Stark.
Yeah.
So in the first one, it wasn't like the Goblin's going to destroy the world and Spider-Man's going to stop him. He was just trying to stop him from murdering select people, and then eventually he came after like MJ and stuff, and because he wanted to get inside Spidey's head. So but the reason that one felt more epic is because there was like emotional impact. To the things that the Goblin was doing, and similar in the second one, Peter and Doc Ock. Doc Ock is this amazingly smart scientist.
Yes.
Peter looks up to him. Peter feels like he is someone he would like to be one day. He would like to be a scientist like that one day. And then Doc's wife dies because of his own hand, and he kind of goes a little insane.
Yeah.
And this movie got better for me when you found out that Liz's dad was the Vulture, because that finally gave me that emotional connection between hero and villain I was looking for.
Yep.
And that's when the movie started to improve for me. But I just didn't feel like there was enough baggage on the weight of Peter's shoulders, which is so integral to the Spider-Man character, is the baggage that he takes.
Yeah.
My buddy Jake Baldino was saying the same thing in his video on his Because Video Games channel. He was talking about how it's so important for Peter Parker to have that baggage where you relate to him, because he's your everyday kid.
Yes,
but he's a hero, and he's dealing with so much. And I get that they don't want to rehash the origin story again, which, is understandable, and I wouldn't want to see it either. But you didn't really feel the weight of a family just dealing with a death. There's not a single scene where Aunt May remotely seems like she's dealing with a single problem at all. In the comics, Aunt May is almost always like going through some financial problem, like they're in whether they can keep their apartment or if she has enough money in the bank. And Peter is trying to support her with his photography, which is another thing they never mention in this, his interest in photography.
Yeah, nothing, no.
Maybe that will come about.
Maybe it will, yeah.
Maybe in the future. Like I said, this is supposed to be Spidey evolving into the Spidey that we're familiar with. So maybe Spider Sense and photography and things like that will come about eventually, and not being afraid of heights. Because in this one, he's afraid of heights. Like when he's on the Washington Monument, he's like, oh shit, I've never been up this high before. Which I kind of really like. I really like seeing him like, a little bit afraid of heights. And you get a few moments like that in the first Spidey, like when he's chasing after the killer, and he like crouches down on the top of that building and jumps up and shoots his first web onto a building, and then he stands up for a second and he's like, oh fuck, and he's like, I'm about to swing, and he swings for the first time, screaming. It's great. It's such a great moment.
Yeah, it is. Building off of that, agree with everything you just said. Emotion, like Spider-Man 1, we've seen it a billion times, but we have Ben dying. Mary Jane's parents are like divorce-worthy. I'll never forget that scene. It's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. Is when they're in their back lot. I think Peter's already there, like putting out the trash or something. And then Mary Jane comes out there fighting, and she's like, "You hear all that?" She got her little sweater on with her arms crossed. I was like,
"That's one of my favorite scenes." Yeah,
that's what this shit was missing. And in your regular review, or I think it was your regular, not your spoiler, you talk about the ferry scene and how that lacked the epicness. I was like, that is the exact same shit. And I felt like maybe, like I'm gonna use the Avengers bank heist as an example for this movie. I felt like that scene wasn't really a scene. It was like a moment. It was just a bunch of moments, and then rather than like building a scene or a sequence up, like I felt like the heists in the middle-ish with Vulture, the end climax was kind of just disappointing. I felt like it could have been longer, or something was lacking there, and I felt like emotion possibly was.
I gotta really agree with you, man. There's something I'm noticing, and it's not just in Spider-Man: Homecoming. It's in a lot of Marvel movies lately, and it could have something to do with directors not being given enough creative freedom, or they're not making choices for someone to make their own film they're allowing someone creative to work on a film and craft a good film, because there are very few sequences in this movie.
Yeah.
And you're right. And what I mean by that is you're absolutely right. Like the bank scene, it is like a moment.
Yeah.
Because there's no real setup. Let me, again, I don't want to just keep comparing it to other movies, but yes, let's talk about the Times Square scene in the first Spider-Man. That's like a humongously epic action scene.
Absolutely.
Between Green Goblin and Spider-Man. But what happens before that? You have Mary Jane and Harry. They are talking. You have Peter taking photos.
Yes.
You see Harry try to kiss Mary Jane, and she doesn't let him. Peter notices that, and he takes note of that in his head. Then he sees that they're together, and he's like, oh shit. And Harry then sees Peter, and he's like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to talk to Peter about this. You hear Harry ask the board of directors, is Norman coming today? And or have you seen my dad? And he's like, I don't think he's coming today because they just fired him. You have all of this set up for what eventually becomes a giant sequence.
Yeah.
And it feels like something you remember and you want to watch again.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this movie, that doesn't really happen too much. There's fun action scenes, but it's tough to really pinpoint like a big sequence that feels like it was set up in a way where a director told you a story instead of just saying, here's Spider-Man swinging around trying to put a boat back together.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not like a Sam Raimi dick rider or something, but I'm talking about filmmaking here.
Yeah. It's a good comparison. I was going to say the exact same thing. I was going to say, like, where's the train sequence from Spider-Man 2? Like,
sure.
The Dark Knight underground tunnels truck sequence, like there's even a setup for that. Like, oh, we're gonna be turkeys on Thanksgiving. Like the whole, and then the music cuts out.
You see the flaming,
the fire truck on fire. Like,
the opening of that scene where the guy's like, "Hey, you can't be here," and
oh my god, I love that shit.
It's a great.
Hey, you have to wait like everybody else, pal.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that comes down to filmmaking. Really, it really does, because you can have. You can choose how long to show a moment or how long to build up a moment. And I just didn't feel much tension here in this film. Like there isn't really like a moment where I felt like I was on the edge of my seat, because it is a lighthearted kind of John Hughes-esque comedy with Spider-Man in it, which is really cool and totally different, which is commendable because this is the sixth one, and to find a way to do it different is good.
Yeah.
But it's true, you're right. There really aren't any like edge of your seat sequences where you feel like your mind was just blown. Like even in Spider-Man 3, like the way Raimi sets up the creation of Sandman, like in that pit as he's discovering how to move in the sand, trying to grab that locket and create fingers to grab. That's a great sequence. It was set up really well, and it just. We need more directors who can tell you a story in a scene and not just show you cool shit.
Yes. That's actually why do we like that car scene so much of them talking? It's because of the setup. We now know who these people are, and there's tension there. Exactly.
Why does everyone talk about the reveal and that car scene and all of a sudden why the movie seems like there's more weight? Because there is.
Yes.
There's something to care about all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Something to get like, oh shit, the story's different now and better.
Yes.
And so the third act is really exciting.
Yeah, that was actually the moment where I went from like, I'm waiting for this to be good. Oh shit, now it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it never really went up to that great because of your criticism right now, and a perfect analysis of trying to get more sequences and setups for our action scenes.
Yeah.
Do I have anything else in my notes that I would like to talk about? I thought the CG was good.
Yeah.
I think some people complained about the CG. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, no, I have no complaints. CG was great. His suit looked a lot better here than Civil War too, because in Civil War it was, I think, almost entirely CG. The suit.
Really?
Yeah, and in this movie it was like an actual like cloth.
So, what is your favorite suit out of all of them, movie-wise?
Wow.
Because I heard The Amazing Spider-Man. A lot of people like that suit.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the worst Spider-Man movie, but it might be the best suit. I love the Spidey 2 suit, and I love his suit, and the black suit's really cool.
Yeah, you have the hot toy?
I do.
Yeah.
Easily the worst is the Amazing Spider-Man. It looks like a basketball. This suit's really good. It might be tied with Raimi's suit.
Yeah.
Because I like what they did with it, but I guess Raimi's suit #1 for sure. If you're actually asking me like what the suit does,
no, not does. Just like
okay, yeah, because I can't
stand
the Iron Spidey suit thing.
Yeah, I think I like this new one because the eyes. I think they'll really.
I love the expression that they can get that expression stuff because that's in the comics. They would have you could tell his emotion if his eyes were wide or if they were little slits.
Yeah, I really like that. You really notice it with the Donald Glover, which I didn't even know was in the movie. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
And apparently he's a character.
There's a little subtle reference to Miles Morales. He says he has a nephew that lives in the area who could possibly be Miles Morales.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of people were hoping he would be Miles Morales.
Yeah.
So who knows? We'll see.
That'd be really great because I think that guy's very talented.
He stole that scene.
Yeah, he was fucking awesome.
They have that little moment where he's like, "I like bread." Where he's talking about how there's too much bread on sandwiches. He's like, "I like bread."
Yeah, he's so subtle. That's why he makes. I'm really looking forward to the Han Solo film to see what he does.
Yeah, I hope he's great.
But really noticed his eyeballs in the parking lot or parking deck structure. They call it garage wherever you're from. They call it differently. Here in Ohio, we call it garage. In Michigan, we call it structure.
I like when he crash lands in that girl's backyard and they're having a sleepover and his eyes
Yes,
it's malfunctioning and twitching.
So funny.
He's like,
what did you think? Because I think FlickPick talked about in his review about the homage to Ferris Bueller, and then they actually showed the movie. He didn't like the video showing.
It didn't bother me really.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think it was too bad either.
It was just a little moment.
Yeah, I knew what they were doing. It's like, I guess for the teenagers watching, they never grew up or saw this film, Ferris Bueller's Day Off from the '84, whenever it was from. They have to get the context.
That didn't bother me. It was such a small thing.
So, tying it back into the beginning of why I brought you on, you love Spider-Man so much, and watched, as a kid, the TV show. Mm-hmm. Will you buy the Blu-ray when it comes out?
Yes, I would definitely buy it.
Okay.
I will definitely buy it, and I'll rewatch it again. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's a great movie, and I don't think it's a great Spider-Man movie, but that's just me.
I will buy the Blu-ray if it has extended Vulture backstory or something that makes just a little more crisp for me. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like my score right now, if I was just say it so I don't forget it, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
That's exactly what I'd give it. A B.
For me, this is my grade scoring. People don't know. So a 5 out of 10 is just below the marking, or just above the marking, I should say, of I can rewatch it again. A 4 out of 10 is like, I respect it a lot, but I'm never going to rewatch it. And then below, above, it has to get like an 8 for me to buy it. Like 8's sometimes I break the rule because I know the rules. So like I'll give films that I really appreciate, like some shit from like the 60s. I'll give like a 10, but I'll never buy it. But for this, I felt like it didn't deserve the 8 for me. And I might rent it, and if it has extended footage, or if I just rent it and I really enjoy it again, maybe I will buy it. But like say a film like Ghost in the Shell. I think I'd give like an 8-ish, but I want to watch it one more time. And if I do a review, I want to have you on because you love Ghost in the Shell.
Yes.
So if I want to rent that Ghost in the Shell one more time and give it a watch and see if I like it or not, to buy it. For this film, I feel like I need to rent it one more time, library, Redbox, wherever, to think, man, do I really want to buy this? And it's really tough because I really love Michael Keaton. I might be buying the Lego set with Michael Keaton as the Vulture. There's only 2 Lego sets. There's that one, and then there's the Avengers Bank Heist, because they hyped it up a lot in the trailer. It looked cool. That was going to be extended. There's a Lego set there's only 2 Lego sets, and that's one of them. So I was thinking, you know what? Is this going to be really awesome? Excuse me. And that was a little bit disappointing, but it was still a good film. Like the Doug Walker review said, you kind of just shrug your shoulders. Like, yeah, it was good. Mm-hmm. Looking forward to seeing more of Tom Holland, like I said previously.
Me too. Me too. He's really good.
And I hope to see some Sinister Six, or at least more of Michael Keaton's Vulture.
I'm excited for the Venom Tom Hardy.
Yeah, that too. Apparently that's not, I've heard, not Cinematic Universe?
I don't know. I've heard both.
Okay.
I've heard both.
Okay.
I have no idea what'll happen.
Okay, yeah, neither do I. Hopefully it's great. Our next film is Dunkirk. Monday.
We're seeing Dunkirk on Monday.
So that's gonna be a fun one. We also get to see our friend Joe, who was on Infinite Lives.
Yes, he was on my Infinite Lives show.
Yes.
The next video you and I are doing together on my channel, I'm starting my new series, Stephen King reviews, leading up to Dark Tower and It.
Yes.
Two Stephen King
looking forward to those
movies. You and I are going to do 1408 together, the John Cusack, Samuel L. Jackson movie.
Yes,
So
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, that's a really good film. So I'm looking forward to that. Other stuff you have going on, Infinite Lives.
Got a show. We did play games before movies. You and I filmed one for Apes. As soon as I get that all edited, we'll get that up.
Awesome.
Stuff like that. Stephen King series. We're gonna have like Secret Window, 1408, Shawshank Redemption. I'm still deciding on a few others. I have an idea for something I want to do. I don't want to say yet because I don't know if the person will be able to do it. But there's a cool guy I want to try to get to be in a Stephen King review, and we'll see how that goes.
Do we have a couple more Nolan films before Dunkirk?
Yeah, I got to do my Batman Begins review. I don't know when you're going to post this, but my Batman Begins review.
Probably Sunday.
That's when my Batman Begins review will go up, which is done. I did like a skit with my Hot Toys because people are always asking me to show my Hot Toys. So I was like, I'll do a Batman skit with my Hot Toys.
People are asking so many times, like, hey, can I see your collection? It's like, dude, that's such a pain in the ass to film. Like, even with your Blu-rays, it's like hours of filming.
Oh my God.
It's so, and then like editing it also. People don't understand like all the shit that goes into YouTube videos.
Like, you have to create like a stack of Blu-rays of like, there's like 1,000 Blu-rays on your floor when you're done.
That, and when you're editing, like, this is why I evolved from toys into other things. Staring at the same shit for hours, and I used to do it, for like almost 3 years now. The same shit. Editing is so boring.
I was having a conversation with another YouTuber, and we both agreed that we are monumentally sick of looking at our faces.
Yeah,
because we're just editing the same stuff over and over again. It's like, oh my God, I hate looking at this guy.
Oh man, what a way to end the podcast. So if you don't already know who Chris is, link. If you're watching this on YouTube, hopefully you can expand it to other venues, but. YouTube description link. You can check out his channel down below.
Thank you very much.
Recently, over 1 million subs. Very cool and very awesome. And there's a reason why he produces some good stuff, guys.
Oh, thank you.
So thanks for coming on the podcast. Thanks for talking to Spidey.
Yes,
with
sir.
me.
Spider-Man.
It was a good movie. So
it was good.
I'd recommend people seeing it.
Me too.
No problem. Chris also has, if you want a more extended Chris Spider-Man, he's got 2 reviews on his channel. One spoiler, one non-spoiler. I think the spoiler is like 10 minutes and the non-spoiler is like 8.
About the same.
Okay. Yeah. So that's good stuff too. All right, thanks guys for listening very much. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye.
End of line. Good luck and congratulations on choosing
Senior Press.
Threatened to have the American ambassador expelled after the incident. The U.S. State Department responded quickly with a formal apology